Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me again in another episode of Everyday Miracles Moment on video. Excuse me, a little tongue tied there. Maybe a little stage fright, I could say. We all do that when we're in front of a camera. But today, let's talk about the awakened spirit, fear and doubt, the deep state, having self control. Is the deep state keeping us from having true self control over our true free will? The awakened spirit. Let's discuss that. By the way, as I move on and go through this, I've got several links down below, not several, but a few down below in the description area here at YouTube that I hope that you'll take a look at. If you are at my blog, and one in particular leads you to a wonderful video that uh, shows you how many people are experiencing enlightenment truly in their heart that doesn't have to be shared with everyone, that just it's a great video that helps out, and it's called Bring My Dreams to Reality. So I hope that you'll check that out. Also, while you're listening to me, before we go in and talk about the deep state, having self control, and the awakened spirit, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. In fact, right now, as you're listening to me, please subscribe to me right now on YouTube here, because I would love to have you as a subscriber. Tongue tied again. Okay. So let's go on, and let me say that, can we get a little bit concerned a bit today, right now, as you're listening to me, with spiritual awakening today? You're seeing it everywhere, aren't you? Wow, we're understanding, though, the indications of, let's say, light putting out darkness, darkness being that deep state. And for those of you listening, that you know what I mean by the deep state. Well, when I say the deep state, for those of you that don't understand where I'm coming from, I mean the deep state trying to force your spirit to be living in the darkness of fear and doubt, keeping us from our dreams, our goals, and our true free will. Now, remember, your true free will, which is your passion and purpose, was given to you in the creation. Often you might ask yourself, what is a real spiritual awakening? A lot of people think of that word spiritual awakening, oh yeah, and they shut it off as some kind of nonsense, and because why did we shun that off? SHUN, shun that off as nonsense. Because maybe are afraid of actually experiencing a spiritual awakened mind, to where we grab on to our true free will in everything we do in life, every day of the world, regardless of fear and doubt that the deep state tries to influence. Well, still, when one completes and say contemplates too spiritual awakening, and I always like to use the word contemplate, because that word in itself is a reflection to me of creativity, so to speak. So, still, when one completes and contemplates spiritual awakening, the comprehending part of the indicators that you're seeing comes from within, not from the outside sources of fear and doubt. I hope that that makes sense. That's very important that you understand that. Well, spiritual awakening is not a come and go type of thing. No matter what you think, it's not a come and go. You can't just be spiritual awakened today and not tomorrow. It's a gradual thing. Yes, it is a gradual and a continual process, just like the growing of your children, the growing of yourself. It's growth. What I mean to say is that some get it. Some get it. Follow what I'm saying here? And others just do not get it. But the ones that do not get it, they glimpse getting it, but they fear it for whatever reason. So I mean to say that some get it and they are encouraged and inspired from deep within themselves. But too sadly, like I said, many others are afraid. They're full of fear to embrace it. The ones who fear and have doubt-filled consciousness, which is not real consciousness. The ones who have fear and doubt plague through them and everything they do in life, that's not real consciousness. But the ones who fear and doubt the idea of an absolute real consciousness, I'm talking about divinity, a real consciousness awakening, they have their excuses. Does that make sense? So let's move on and let me say, keep in mind this esoteric principle from A Course in Miracles, very metaphysical in a spiritual sense. The Course in Miracles states, nothing the Holy Spirit brings forth can induce fear. Everything that results from spiritual awareness is merely channelized toward correction. Discomfort is aroused only to bring the need for correction into awareness. Now, I'm going to repeat that for you, but I don't want you to dissect it too much. I want you to let it flow over you. And the reason I'm going to repeat it too is because it's necessary that I do. But I've also noted these words down below too in the description area here at YouTube, which many people love that I do that. I get wonderful messages from people all over the world about that. So in case you want to jot them down, and maybe someone keeps a journal that I know, and I've said that in previous videos. So for obvious reasons. So let me repeat that again. A Course in Miracles states, nothing the Holy Spirit brings forth can induce fear. Everything that results from spiritual awareness is merely channelized toward correction. Discomfort is aroused only to bring the need for correction into awareness. Well, with that said, let me say currently, if we base our definition to all spiritual approaches, we have a spiritual awakening rooted on the enlightenment idea, I guess we could say, or awakening of the consciousness. Now, when we think of consciousness, don't we think of, well, he's conscious, he's awake, he's not out, but we're thinking of the physical body. What about the real consciousness that is beyond the body? Can you grasp that? I mean, awakening of the consciousness, as well as recognizing the actual or initial self of who we are, of who you are, and who we are as the creation. Let me go on and say it is a better form of understanding where the understanding again has the ability to see past the more obvious physical and material self. Think about that right there. It really truly is comprehending again. I like to use that word again because it's more of a, like I said, and I want to enforce that. It's a creative, it's a reflection. It's a word that reflects creativity. So it is more comprehending and the feeling realization within us that where we choose one's incredible presence, where we choose our own incredible presence. In other words, you see someone walk into a room, you're at a party, and you're attracted to them all immediately, right? You may be the same person that you walked in, and people say, I'm attracted to you, not in a sexual sense or anything, but just attraction. By the way, my mission goes on and continues, and we're only about halfway through this video, but please keep in mind that I've also included down below a link that I have at my GoFundMe article, which is quite lengthy, and a few different videos. I think there's 3 different videos in there that tell my story and what my mission is about. And I hope that you will support me. It's about the consciousness effort, the consciousness crusade, we could say. Words are just words. They're letters in the alphabet. It's the meaning behind those words that has all the meaning and everything to us. So let me move on and say, perhaps among extra noticeable signs of expertise is in realizing your own spirituality, is you feel some tranquility coming along at certain times through the day or whatever. Those tranquil feelings. Isn't the word tranquil itself just enough to like put you at peace? But then all of a sudden it leaves you and it's like, oh, the whole world is like, we get stressed out. So I'm leading to this. I'm saying individuals have actually awakened their truest inner self. Those that have actually awakened their truest inner self have actually revealed to be so much extra, far, far extra concentrated in getting their objectives and goals achieved in life. Wow. They had their bumps and road and maybe a lot of setbacks, adversities, but they overcome them. If you know my story, you know what I'm talking about. They seem to have actually reached a degree of tranquility where experiences, memories, events, problems once ruled them. That tranquility overcomes those problems that once ruled them. They don't hang on to the past problems they had. That tranquility knows how to get them over those problems and let it go. Again, I'm going to ask you, doesn't that make sense? I'm saying like life challenges and needs are no longer creating confusion and disturbances. And I mean, we can't allow what we need today, what we need to create disturbances in our psyche, in our human psyche. We can't allow that. That just sets us back further from that tranquility I'm trying to get to you. So I got to move on and say that I also suggest a very strong article that I'd written. It's at my Safe and Secure website at jamesnussbaumer.com. And I've got the link in that included down below as well. And it's called, it's about spiritual awakening, stress-free is a decision that we have to produce and create within ourselves. That link is down there and it takes you to, excuse me, my Safe and Secure website. So by the way, again, I ask you, are you experiencing spiritual awakening in today's environment around the world with all the stuff that we know that's going on? Well, among the indicators of spiritual awakening is really, don't you agree, to have self-control? That's sometimes hard to do, isn't it? Self-control. When one gets on the level of, let's say, spiritual knowledge, spiritual awakening, spiritual awareness, inner awareness, if the word spiritual offends you, we can just say inner awareness, inner growth. When one gets to the level of that knowledge, that awareness, he or she not only exercises true free will, but has an inner knowing, a knowing that where everything is going to be okay. Nonetheless, knows what poor things call for as to be cast aside, we could say. Things that just drag us down, cast them aside. Sometimes it's hard to do, right? Likewise, we need to pick up simply the ideal path based on the correct wisdom of tranquility that's within us and move forward with that feeling in life. Not governed, that's a feeling that's not governed by the deep state. By the way, I also have a link down there to my, right to my blog. And you can go there, feel free to search. There's a search icon, a couple of them. You can just put in your keyword of choice or whatever your concern is and type it in. And one of my articles, I've got many, many articles handwritten, written by myself that you can, so I hope that you'll check out that. But let's move on and say that those that give short-lived pleasures are no longer entertained to be, let's say, considering that the acts that lead to unhappiness. You know, what are the acts that we do on our own that lead us to unhappiness? I mean, or things often led to, say, enduring too much worry about the future, as well as earthly short-term goals that we get all upset about that we don't meet at times. Again, let's be free of the deep state. Let's understand the spirit within us, which leads us to our goals. And it's all about humility and selfless love. Humility and selfless love are various, and I like to use that word various other signs of an awakened spirit. For many of you listening to me today, probably those who are deep into this article aren't that way, but some of you may think, oh, this guy's off his rocker. Well, if you're saying that, then you need to question yourself about why it is that I see what I see, but that you're not seeing it. So part of having actually an awakened spirit is the eagerness to uncover, to recognize, and to benefit from what your natural divinity offers you. I'm suggesting the well-being is really what we can say of tranquility, the well-being of not simply our physical nature, but of our overall well-being and of others who we are connected with. Well, sometimes we got to look at pride and pomposity. Pomposity is a hard word for me to say, pomposity, but when I put that again, sometimes, but I mean, it's, pride. And when I say pompous, I could mean like, the ego-based fear and doubt, controlling, like grandeur over the grandeur of you are, over the pompous ideas that you have, and over we can substitute the word pomposity for grandiosity. Pride and grandiosity is not grandeur of your creator. Pride and grandiosity, the grandiose things is not, and they're not really marks of a superb person. When you think of an individual that you admire so much, that's so respectful around the world, that you have your favorites. They're not filled with grandiosity, fear and doubt. No, but they're filled with a level of grandeur, the grandeur of God that just keeps increasing all the time, no matter what they're faced with in life. Well, I didn't mean this to be a lecture, but if you want to take it as a lecture, then that's okay too. But look at me as I'm going to say this, and as I start to close here, just please look at me. Do you see spiritual awakening today in all corners of the globe going on? Do you? Answer that. Well, genuine pleasure, non-attachment, having the best intuition, and also feelings of non-attachment, if you know what I mean by that, because I think I just mentioned that, but in a different way earlier, are other signs of spiritual awakening. So if you didn't get that, if you want to get it, so to speak, and you didn't get it, play this video over again. If you find one of these signs existing in you when and after you accomplish a session, say, of meditating or prayer, a lot of people are afraid of meditation because it's not a traditional form of things in certain values. But meditation is the same as prayer. There's no difference. It's a word. Meditation is a word in the letters in the alphabet. It's a word. Prayer is letters in the alphabet. It's the same. It's connection. It's connecting. It's not asking for favors from high above. It's about connecting to what is real, throwing out the bad, disregarding it, getting over it, and living with your divinity. That's what meditation and real prayer is supposed to do. And of all you theologians who may be listening to this right now, I'm sure that you agree with me. I'm sure that you do. I just know that you do. I guess I'm trying to say that those who feel truly awakened, and I mean truly, truly awakened, they have found success. And why have they found success? Because they are living aligned to their true free will that was given to them in the creation. Of course, we must realize that success in life is not all about how much money we make. And we touched on that a little bit. Don't you agree? Right? But I also want to share another idea about spiritual awakening today. When you ask yourself, what is real awakening? What is inner awareness? When you ask yourself those questions, what's going on in your mind? What is the fear and doubt in you telling you? How absurd you might be for thinking that? Yes, we cannot let the deep state control us. And by understanding this might help us recognize that and opening up to that we're reaching newer heights. We are. It's going on everywhere around the world. Spiritual awakening today is always a continuous light that is fading away the darkness. Remember, darkness does not put out light. It's the other way around. The light draws the darkness to us and darkness fades away. Light draws darkness to the light and the darkness fades away. Darkness does not put out light. The light fades away darkness. You can think about that when you see your early morning dawn in the morning, about what I just said. By the way, I hope you see more in my books. And my fourth book is just out now called Living Your Own Dreams and Not Someone Else's. And if you're at YouTube, here down below, you'll have that link to my website, which can lead you to how to be a part of being a reader of what I write about. For those of you that know my story, understand. For those of you that don't know my story, you can see it at my website. In this video today, it's not about me sharing my story, but you'll find that out as you get to know more about me if you'd like to. So again, I want to say as I close here finally, I hope you're thinking a lot about your own life and all the natural, divine beauty that is within you. It has, that beauty within you has nothing to do with the deep state. The beauty within you is how you live your life every day and how you talk to other people and how you treat other people and how you connect with other people. And that connection is called the oneness of creation. Could we say that's God? I use the word God, but some of you around the world may use another word, and that's fine. Remember that I said earlier, G-O-D, God, is letters in the alphabet. Whatever word you want to use, I use God because that's what I'm comfortable with. Excuse me, again, another tongue-tied thing, and I was raised on, and much of the world does, and that's okay, and that's understandable because as humans, we go with what we're, but if you're on another part of the world and you're listening to me and you're like, and you like to call God something else, that's fine. I mean, who can say that that's not fine? In fact, the word G-O-D is letters in the American alphabet, the English language. So I think you get my drift here. what I'm trying to say. Don't let the deep state control your mind. Until next time, everyone, again, I wish the best to you in life and love and all the success in the world. Please follow me. I'd love to have you following me on and leaving comments whenever you can. Again, James Nussbaumer, thanks again for joining me. God bless.